this out a little bit, okay? Now we want this to be longer and to be wider, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm actually kind of throwing it at an angle. And then I'll probably add a little more height to it. But I don't want to jam a whole bunch through there. Now, marbling is made through two different uses of clay. So I layered the clay on top of each other. And that's how I got that marbling.
Oh, wow.
All right. So I kind of want something long enough to where it can fit around a circle about that big. Okay. So when we think about the diameter of a circle, all right, we want it at least as long as that. So the first thing we're going to do is we'll make our circle first using this on the wheel. And then we'll measure the diameter of the circle, probably just using a piece of string. All right, and next, we're going to roll out the cup part. Like that, and we'll put this one on this bat. We'll kind of get it right in the middle. Okay. Now we could do this a couple ways. We could
throw it on.
We could measure the length from one side to the next, right? Make a square, and then we could make our circumference of our circle the length of our cup, or we can make our circle first and then try to make the length of our piece. There you go. I'm going to measure my slab piece, the length. Look at that. So it goes from there to right about there. All right. Good and stable in there. Put the slab down there like that. All right. Get it spin a little bit. I've been using a lot of different clay, so I might color it up a little bit. But all I'm doing is I'm just securing the bottom part of this slightly to the base. We're going to kind of push this in a little bit, just like we did with our plates. All right. Give me a piece of string, buddy. Over there. All right, so I made like a little plate, and what I want to do is I actually want to set my cup down inside of this plate, and then I want to pull these walls up around it. So I need to create a lip. So I'm going to use the edge of this, edge of a trimming tool, to kind of create a lip for the inside, just like so. I could probably dig down just a little deeper, just like that. What that does, it creates a little lip right in here, maybe a little more.
String. That's what I did. String? There you go. You need
Okay, so that's where I'm going to set
there you go.
my slab. And the way I'm going to measure that is, I'm going to take my string, just kind of lay it around the inside, just like this. It stops right about there, and that's how long I need my slab piece. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my slab piece. All right, so squaring your slab. So I've created my mark up here, and then my mark down here. And all I want to do is I want to try to use as much material as I can. So I'll start off with a good cut like that, all right? And I want even portions for my slab. And the way that I do that, I actually have to measure equidistance here and equidistance across this way. So I'll go down, let's say a good 4.5 inches. So my 4.5 inch mark is here, here. So I'll make a straight edge like that. And we kind of have the makings of our square, but we also want to end it here. Okay, so we'll go 4.5 inches. 4.5 inches right here. All right, and then we'll just square it off, just like that. Now, this distance here, from this point to here, needs to be equidistant from this point to here. All right, so I make sure that it's 4.5. My mark's here. 4.5. My mark's here. All right, and that should give me a nice straight edge. All right, if I want to be sure, what I do is I take and just do one in the middle, like that. And then I just line up my straight edge on all three of these. And if you're in Mr. Johnson's workshop, you probably learned this already. And there we go. We have a nice squared slab. Now this I'm going to use for my handle, so don't throw it away. What we want to do next is we want to bevel these edges so they go together nicely. All right, and that starts to form our cup. Beveling the edges, I'll show you what we're going to do. You bevel the edge, like the sharp end, all right, and you cut it at an angle, like that. So it angles up, like so. And then what you do, flip it over, and you want to do the same thing. Bevel the edge, just like so. All right. And there you go, a couple beveled edges. And then these two edges will go together nicely. Look how that fits together, just like that. So we're going to slip and score, and then that's what's going to sit on our cup. And we'll have a nice mug. All right, so what we're going to do real quick is we're going to take and just score this together. Let's run a little score. Run a little score. Now it's pretty wet, so all I'm going to do is just take a little water, put it on there, just like that. All right, and it should go together very easily. Famous last words. So it'll start to form our cup. Just squeeze it in there, just like that. And now we're going to take this and put it on top of there. Look at that. That fits really good. It's a pretty good measurement. All right, so before we do that, same thing. I'm going to score it a little bit. Since it's all wet. Because whenever we put two pieces of clay together, we always want to score them. We usually add slip to it, but because our clay is so wet, it's like fresh out of the box, being wedged. Slipping will come naturally when we go to put this on the wheel. You're like, what? We're still going to work it on the wheel, yeah. So we're going to end up pulling this piece up on the wheel. All right, now that we have something like this, we got a little scoring going on. All right, we got these two pieces coming together. All right, just like this. And there we go. Let's go over the wheel. All right, hanging out the wheel. Put our bat on our wheel head. And all this whole process, we want to go really slow. And a few of the tools that we're going to use is our trim tool and our sponge and probably our foot tool. All right. I'm just going to get this going kind of slow. All right, and you'll notice it's a little bit oblong, but we'll fix that. And all we're going to take is our sponge. All right, and we're going to start on the wheel head. And I'm going to kind of work my way up the side. All right. A little moisture on the inside, just a little bit. All right. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to push that foot against the bottom of the cup, a lot like we did with our plate. And what that's going to do, it's going to seal those two pieces together. And we'll trim that up using our trim tools. All right, and then all I'm going to do is inside with my hand, I'm just ever so slightly using my middle finger to kind of push on the inside. Use my index finger too, but make sure your hands are wet. I'll get the inside of here. Get a little moisture on the inside there. So we get it kind of slick. All right. But not too much. There's a balance of moisture between the two. If you have too much, it's going to flop on you. If you don't have enough, you're going to snag it. All right, it's going to cause it to kind of jerk as it spins. So what I'm going to do is reach down. Some of you will have smaller hands than I do, so this will be a little easier for you. Yeah. All right, so all I'm doing is I'm just getting the inside a little slick, just like that. And what that's doing as it's spinning around the sponge, it's taking those two pieces that we beveled together and slipped and scored, and it's sealing them so they go into one tight piece. And I'll show you when we're done. All right. So we'll get going a little faster now that we got a good seal going. That's about as fast as I'll go for this whole entire piece. All right. All I'm doing is just letting the clay drag against that sponge, go back, get a little of the water. If we take some moisture out of it, we always want to add the moisture back into it. All right. And just kind of, I want to seal up the inside and the outside. Because the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to trim it a little bit. All right. And then that's it. We have a very nice looking mug. I mean, even right here, the mug is looking pretty good. Very nice. Nice big coffee mug. All right, so trim tool, make sure it's clean when you go to do this so you don't snag. All right, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to start here at the bottom at about 3 o'clock position. I'm just going to trim that foot. All right. Make sure that my trim tool is clean when I go to do it. And I'm slowly going to come up with it. All right, slowly. So slowly going to come up. Okay, slowly coming up. And that wobble will start to go. It'll start to leave. Get up to about the top. And there you have it. What I'll do is I'll take my point of my trim tool, and now I want to kind of tuck it back under that foot. All right. And that'll make kind of the base of the mug. Boy, look at that. Now you're looking about be done. Right? You don't want to get too thin in there, because what will happen is you'll go right through and you'll end up just poking a hole. Right, so let's go just a little more. Up. There you go. Let's see how far we can take this. And there we go. Trim it up just like that. Boom. I think we are done. And there you have it. A nice little mug. Looks like I got a little spot down there I could probably work with. That's a little thin, but what I'll do is I'll end up putting my handle right there.
Actually, a very nice looking mug. All right, we're going to put our wire tool right through the bottom, let it dry for about half a day, then we're going to put the handle on, and we're going to start. All right, hope you enjoyed that. It wasn't too long.
So how do you make handles for your mugs? You're like, how do you do that? All right, so I have a couple mugs already kind of thrown out here. And these are not the slab mug that we just kind of did. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to shape the handle for different mugs. So this is like a small teacup, right? And this is more like a smaller coffee mug, probably about 1 cup. All right. Both started out with about 1 pound of clay each, but sometimes when you mix clays like this, it gets a little irregular. So I had to kind of go with what I had to go with. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. For me, there's a lot of different techniques you can use in order to make a handle. So tool, I'm going to need a little bit of water. I'm going to get some slip, all right, just a little bit of slip. And I'll usually put it on the side of this. A little bit of slip, put it on the side of this. I'm going to need my scoring tool. I'm also going to need my clay knife. Needle tool doesn't work so well because it has a rounded edge. I like to use this nice clean edge that's on the knife tool. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some clay, just like before. I mean, we all remember how to play with Play-Doh, right? All right. Now, if people have extruders and things like that they use, I'm going to show you how to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to roll it just like we did when we were kids, playing with the Play-Doh. All right, that's already a piece I know that's too big. I want it to be kind of a D shape on the side of my mug, but I want the top part to be a little fatter than the bottom part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll a coil. Right? And as I roll the coil, I kind of spread my fingers out. All right? Like this. There we go. My fingers will spread out. Once I get a good coil going, I'll cut off the top, make it kind of sharp, and then I'll cut a little bit off the bottom. All right. And that kind of lets me look at, okay, is that good? How do I need to manipulate this a little more to help me with my mug? All right. So usually I'll start at the top here, and I'll kind of bend down like that. But what I'll do with my coil first is I'll get a good coil going, and then I'll just drop it, just like that. What that does is it flattens out that edge, right? Flattens out the edge. Then I'll use my thumb, dip a little water, and then I'm just going to make a little thumbprint, just like that. And that's actually going to be the part that bends over, that goes over. Now I'll flip it over like this, all right? And I'm going to cut a little beveled edge, just like that, okay? And what that's going to do is, that's going to be my attached edge to the side of my mug. So let's start a little score. We'll start right about here. Sometimes you could start at the top, that's all up to you, depending on how your mug is. And what that's going to be is, this beveled edge, that's right here, that's what's going to attach, right like that, okay? This is where I need my slip, all right, because we kind of have a drier piece going on to a wet piece, and I want to add a little slip in there. When it starts to dry, that moisture in between the two pieces will help hold it together so it doesn't pull apart. All right, so I'm just going to take it just like that, all right, and then kind of fold it up like so. All right. Then this will kind of hang like that, and then that is where my other slip and score will be. Now I'm going to add a little knob to the top. The first slip and score, a little bit of score, all right, a little bit of score on that handle portion. I'll just give it a good little push. All right. And I'll leave it right here. Now some people like to do a foot on their cup. This one, I'm just going to leave. All right, just going to leave it the way it is. There you have a nice D-shaped handle. All right, it's good thick. All right, going to add a little. I'm going to add a little nub to the top, like a little thumb nub to the top, so that it's a stronger, more stable handle when we go to put it either in the dishwasher, or we go to lift it, or pick it up off the counter, or hopefully you don't drop it on the floor. All right, all we're going to do is take that little piece that I cut off the top and give it a little whirl under my fingers, and then mash it a little bit, slip and score, put it right there. All right, a little bit, and this is where I add a little more slip to it. All right, just like that, just like that. And it's glue, that slip there, that's that glue that holds it together. Slip is the glue that holds life together. Just like that. Like that. There we go. Have a nice mug, just like that. All right. As it starts to dry, we can start to just take like either a toothbrush or a paintbrush. We can clean this up, start to clean this up, and then we'll put it in the kiln. Fire it up, dip it, it'll be nice. All right, for our teacups, they're a little different. See if it's dried off. Oh, there we go, popped right off. All right, our teacup, what we're gonna do is make a smaller kind of teacup handle. So same thing again, but this time it's gonna be more, it's gonna be thinner. So I'll probably take half of this, just like that. And this is going to be more of a C shape. So that's a D shape. This is going to be like a C shape, like that. But my C shape is going to be more evenly evenly distributed throughout the clay. And I want, you know, the best thing for this is probably your extruder, if you have an extruder, if you're lucky enough. If you're wealthy enough to own an extruder, yes. If you're a good enough artist, there you go. So C shape, I like that. All right. And then we're going to cut our ends. All right. Some people might call this a D shape. Some people might call this teardrop. I call it a C and a D because that looks like a big fat D, and this looks like the letter C to me. So fits on there nicely. If it's too big, all you got to do is just cut a little bit off. All right, and then that's gonna make your C a little smaller. All right. Same thing. Slip and score. A little score there. Kind of guesstimate where it's going to go. Right about there. And then another one right about there. A little bit of slip. Get some more slip. Come on, get on there. Get on there. Slip is the glue that holds life together. I like that. It's very Bob Rossi. All right. The edge. All right. All we're going to do is put it on. Just like so. There you have it. Nice little teacup. Ready to go. Mash them in there. Mash them in there. There you go. Clean it up a little bit around the edges. There you have it. C and a D.